You might not know what the heck a T100 is, so I'm going to tell you. Toyota decided in the 90s they were going to make bigger trucks. Instead of just their little bitty trucks, they're going to make bigger trucks. Not as big as F-150s, but a lot bigger than their previous versions. So they decided in Japan only to make these T100s. They're all made in Japan, but strangely enough, they never sold them in Japan. It was for the US market, but they're all made in Japan. This guy picked this one up pretty cheap, and he's had the bodywork all done over. Now you can see on the sticker here, it says a 97, but these parts are from a different vehicle. The vehicle itself is a 96. The regular VIN number will show you that. That's the real one that belongs on a truck. Now after making these things about 5 years, they decided we're going to go even bigger, and we're going to make T150s. Well, guess what happened? Ford Motor Company sued them and said, you can't call them T150s. We have F-150s. Like, wait a second. T's and F's are different letters, right? How the heck could you say you own the rights to the number 150? Doesn't make any sense at all, right? I mean, you see 1500s this, 1500s that from different companies. Why? They couldn't, but they didn't like it. And Toyota didn't want to make a big stink, so instead they called them Toyota Tundras instead of T150. Now this was the first big size one, the T100, all made in Japan. The T150s are, as you know them, the Tundras, they're all made in the United States. Originally, they made them in the forklift factory that they used to make Toyota forklift trucks in Indiana. Then they moved it all to San Antonio, Texas, where they still make the Tundras. Now, these T100s basically came in two styles. You could get a 4-cylinder or a 6. Now this is a 6. So I'll open it up. And you can see, got a 3400 4-cam V6 engine. These are extremely reliable engines. You can see he's had a timing belt changed in 2008. And now it's 237,000 miles on it. It doesn't burn any oil. Now, if you are looking at one of these and you want a configuration like this is a 4-wheel drive one. You really want to get the V6 engine. They did make them with 4-cylinder engines. They're just a little bit too underpowered. This one is perfectly fine. It's not a race truck, but you're not going to get stuck with a 4-wheel drive. These engines can basically run forever. And you can see it's still got the original power steering pump and the original air conditioning compressor, and yes, it still blows cold. It's a Toyota. That's why they decided to make these trucks. In Japan, they're not big on pickup trucks, and neither were they in Europe. They make these exclusively for the American market. Now really, they're not competing against Ford, GM, Dodge. The Tundras, until they went last year to the stupid V6 twin turbo, when they had the V8 engines in the Tundras, they were unbeatable trucks. Now with that V6 and the turbo, I've seen problems with them. I don't like them, but the old ones, they would just run forever. Toyota didn't care about keeping up with all the bells and whistles and superficial plastic hoopla that Dodge and Ram and GM and Ford is always, who's got the bigger tailgate? Who's got a tailgate that does 57,000 things, right? No, they just made solid, reliable trucks that could run forever, and this is obviously one of them. Now, I lived in Massachusetts his whole life, so as I said, all this stuff was rotting off. So he's had all this replaced with used parts from around the world. Now, if you know a lot about these things, you'll notice this is a little bit shorter bed than you're normally going to see. Well, it's because it came from another truck. And it was put on this truck because the other one was all rotten off. But as we look under, we will see, check it out. This frame is rock solid. Now, he's had it all clean and weatherproof, so it won't rot anymore, but this is a 1996. This was a long time before Toyota trucks that had rotten frame. My son had a Tacoma, it had a rotten frame. A lot of people have brought me Tacomas and Tundras that did have some rotten frames. The salt would eat them up. For some reason, Toyota originally put a pretty good coating on it, but then for a few years, they did a crappy job coating it, or they used the wrong kind of coating. I don't know. Maybe they tried something new and it didn't work. And a lot of the frames rotted. This thing is rock solid. Normally, you're not going to have to worry about a 96 having a rotten frame. I was going there and check, but you could hear this thing is rock solid. The reason that the other parts had to be replaced because the fenders and stuff were all bashed in, then they rust, and that's a lot thinner, not coated as well as the frame. The frame's what you worry about. As he found, you can get parts for these things all over the place. It's a Toyota. He went all over the place, got that nice little top for it too, used for $500. And interesting enough, it's just tall enough that he can get his 4-wheeler in there. And he said, they don't leak. It's totally sealed. It doesn't leak when it rains. He did buy fancy wheels. and fancy tires, because hey, he's turned this old truck into a really nice truck. Now he's got these big wheels. It's 4-wheel drive. It's got big V6 engine. He says he gets between 10 and 13 miles a gallon. 13 on a good day. You're thinking about getting bigger tires, loading your truck up, just realize gas mileage is going to go down. This aggressive tire pattern, you're not going to get stuck, especially with 4-wheel drive. But all that tire equals all that friction. All that friction equals crappier gas mileage. So, realize that. I mean, it's a nice truck. It's going to get bad gas mileage. That's just how they work. And the funny thing is, one of the reasons Toyota went to their Tundra being V6 with twin turbos, because they said, well, we got to do something about that gas mileage, right? Well, a friend of mine bought one of those brand new Tundras last year in Tennessee. You know what he told me? He said, I'm going to get rid of this truck because it gets horrendous gas mileage. He used it to tow his business, which is like a taco stand, right? So he spent all that money on a brand new Tundra that had the V6 twin turbo that they say gets great gas mileage. He actually got worse gas mileage than he was getting with this old V8, because when you're pulling weight, you need a lot of torque. So he bought this nice truck. He loved the look of the truck, but he said the gas mileage is horrible on the thing. And Toyota said, oh, there's nothing we can do. We looked at it, it's fine. They don't get the rating that they say they do when they're towing, just like the BS of Ford and their F-150 Lightning electric pickup, where they say, oh, it can go 200 something miles. Yeah, I saw a guy tow his boat 90 miles and he was almost completely out of electricity. So don't listen to any of those ratings. You need to tow, to pull. You want a big V8 engine, right? And in this case, these never came with V8s. It's the T100, the T150s that they actually never produced but called them Tundras. They came with V6s in the beginning and V8s. Then eventually they were all V8s, and then now they went back to V6s, which as far as I'm concerned is a mistake for a big truck. They didn't screw up on this one. It's a 96 and it still runs like a clock. We'll start it up. Okay, 236,000 miles. The only thing I hear is a little bit of cam noise. You're always going to hear a little bit of cam noise on an engine with that kind of mileage. Doesn't burn oil, runs perfectly fine. He changes the oil regularly, takes care of it. These things can last forever. Now we'll see if it makes a liar out of me as I hook up the scan tool. Now I'm trying out this new X-Tool scan tool. They gave me one before and it had a lot of problems, and they admitted they had bad software. So here's a new one with upgraded software. Technically it's called IP 819 TPMS diagnostic system. And here we go. It's ramping itself up. Now this isn't old, it's a 96. We're gonna have to do it manually. Put the data in manually because it's too old. There's no auto reader that's gonna read something this old. Communicating, it's gonna be pretty slow. These old vehicles are a lot slower. The computers are much slower than the modern ones, but they still should give us some decent data. You can see by the flashing green light, it's working, it's sending information out. It's only 66% done now, but it's old and slow. Just like me. While we're waiting for the slow communication, check out this little garbage can. It's cool, look. Push. And guess what? It won't communicate. It fails to communicate. So I have to say, this X-Tool, it fails. I tried it earlier on my wife's Matrix, and it wouldn't work on that. They said they'd fix the software. Then I tried it, and it did communicate. So they did fix that software, but this is the second vehicle I used at it. Now this one, it won't read it, so I would stay far away from this particular tool until they perfect it. It's too much beta software that doesn't operate. It went the whole way through the whole system, and then it says fails to communicate. So we'll get something better. We'll get an oldie that I know is going to work. So I get my dirty old Nova. You can see paints on it and everything, but let's plug this baby in. Plugs in the same part, lit up, and you can see this is auto linking. So we will do, if there's any trouble codes, now checking out the data, we'll start her up. And you can see no powertrain, DTCs, or freeze frame data. It doesn't have any trouble codes. And now we'll look at live data. We'll start her up. Check it out. Short-term fuel trim is 0%. Okay, as you can see, this thing's got 236,276 miles on it. And the short-term fuel trim is 0, meaning it's running perfectly. Ignition timing's good. The airflow sensor's good. Ooh, the short-term fuel trim went to 0.8. So it's going between 0 and 0.8. Every once in a while, it bounces to -2. It's still hardly nothing on a vehicle this old. Close the hood. Take it for a spin. The 4-wheel drive system is all manual. No electronic crap. You pull it in gear. Of course, there's no backup camera, but hey, it's a pickup truck. Now, he did go a little bit too big on the tires because you can hear them. They're rubbing a little. Sometimes you put too big tires on, you're gonna rub when you do a big turn. So I'll try to keep away from doing big turns here. It's a truck, so it's only gonna go over my bump here relatively easily. And away we go. Four-wheel drive, nice and high up in the air. It is an old truck, it's a 96, right? It's got a solid frame. Now, of course, it's not gonna be the smoothest riding thing in the world. It's an old truck. And it's lifted, and it has gigantic tires in it too. So it still runs perfectly fine, but it's not gonna be smooth riding like the more modern ones are. We come out to deal with Friday afternoon traffic. Here we go. We'll look around. And here comes Friday traffic. Everybody in Newport gets off early on Friday. They're rushing to get a drink or something. Look at them all. But it looks like there's an opening. So here we go. We'll step on it. That engine still hums. Do you see that smooth shift? This thing may have 236,000 miles on it. Still shifts like a dream. Engine still got about the same power it had in the beginning. Mind you, this is kind of a Frankenstein truck, because like I said, it's got a different bed on the back, different side. It's even got a somewhat different cab on it too, because a lot of the stuff had rusted up from being hit and the salt on the road eating up, but it did not touch the frame. Like I said, the frame's still solid as can be. And he was smart. He had it all cleaned off and then coated and rubberized so it won't rot in the future. Okay, it's got all this mileage, but how does it idle? Well, there's a V6 that's still smooth, extremely smooth. Filming one-handed, so I don't want to corner too fast. Plus, that tire will rub some because he's got a little bit too big tires on it. You can see he's added his own little camera here so he can see front and back. There it is. You can easily add this stuff yourself. Why buy another vehicle when you can buy a camera? It was Toyota's first attempt at making a bigger truck. And considering that this 96 is still running like a clock, I'd say that they did a pretty good job the first time. If you do want to get one of these, I do advise getting the V6 engine, not the 4, especially if you're going four-wheel drive, if you want to tow anything. Now, the Frontier started out as the replacement for the old Nissan hard body that had little 4 cylinders. They could run forever just like the little bitty Toyota pickup trucks, right? When they started making the Frontiers, they added one big thing. And here it is under the hood. Nissan V6 engine. You can carry, you can tow. They're very good engines. The new ones put over 300 horsepower. They are screaming motors. They're very reliable. Instead of the hard body, which was a little truck, they could last a long time just like a Toyota Tacoma, but they're kind of underpowered. These are not underpowered. Now, this is an older one, and unfortunately, it's still got a rubber timing belt in it. Modern ones have timing chains in them. Well, he just had this replaced, mainly because of the age, and it's got almost 100,000 miles. It's 96,000 miles. If that rubber belt breaks, pistons hit the valves, goodbye engine. So he had that changed out, so he's not gonna have to worry about it. It's only a problem if you don't take care of it. It gets old and rotten and cracks and breaks, and there goes your engine. So if you're looking at one of these, if it's got a timing chain, you don't have to think about it. But it's got a belt, good idea to change it if it's got 100,000 miles, or if it's 8-10 years old. That's a good thing to do. Over the course of time, the back of the frame rotted. You can see here where they've done welding. You did have to have this replaced because it did rot away. Toyota had the same problem with the Tacomas and some of the Tundras. So if you're looking at one of these used, definitely check the frame. Now there's a lot of superficial rust here, but it's still solid. I'd sand all that down and recoat it myself just to make it last longer. Make excellent work trucks because they got full-size beds. Yeah, the plastic fades away. Plastic liner's still good on it. They're great for hauling stuff. He's never towed with it. But if you want to tow, this baby can tow 6,300 with their automatic transmission, 6,500 if you have a manual. And he was smart, he bought it used. Here's the thing. People always say, Scotty, I want to get a Toyota Tacoma or a Toyota Tundra, but the prices are so insanely high. People are now paying more for used Tacomas than a new one goes for in many cases. You got a good price on this years ago, and it's been a good truck. You're going to find a much better price on a Frontier than you are on a Tacoma or a Tundra. For sure. That's just how it goes. The Toyotas, people like them, prices go up, they just start charging more and more and more. But these are solid trucks. It's not like they're problematical trucks. This is a 4x4 off-road. Ironically enough, the guy's never taken it off-road, but he uses it in Connecticut in the winter. He says it's a beast. He can get through all kinds of snow with it. And unlike the front-wheel drive Jatco transmissions, his grandmother had a Sentra in 2001. Tranny went out at like 70,000 miles. This is a rear-wheel drive transmission. And for my 53 years experience of working on cars, rarely do I see one of these Nissan rear-wheel drive transmissions break down. they make them better. They're kind of like old American cars. Americans made great transmissions for rear-wheel drive, but when they started to make front-wheel drives, they all fell apart. Didn't matter if it was Ford, GM, Chrysler, they were never any good at making front-wheel drive transmissions. Let's start up and listen to it. Starts right up, sounds pretty good. You just hear the valves and the cams rolling a little. Any engine is going to make a little bit of noise. It's not going to be perfect, but this one is in decent shape. Now, all the cars with these plastic headlamps are going to fog. You can polish those up if you want or buy aftermarket ones cheaply enough. But the four-wheel drive still works perfectly fine. He's had no problems with that. Get the old scan tool out. Let's check this baby out. And here we go. It's going through everything. System diagnosis, 16 pin. It's 1% done. This might going to take a while. Well, while we're waiting for it to load, because it is older, he did have to replace the catalytic converter. Not because it tripped the catalytic converter code, because it rusted out. Nissan has a history of making crappy catalytic converters. All my cars with Nissans over the course of time, and Infiniti, same company, you got to buy catalytic converters because they just put cheap ones on. It's just the company went a little bit too cheap. Renault took over Nissan in 2000. The quality started to go down, and this is a 2003. It was after that, and he had to replace the catalytic converter because it just rotted away. It was so cheaply made. So watch out for stuff like that. And so far, you got a bunch of greens. Now, maybe an old vehicle, but everything was green except for the ABS system. Who really cares about that? But we'll see what it is. It says the front left-hand sensor has a problem. Yeah, the problem is it's 19 years old. When they get to be this old, and especially with rust, but it shows how well made this particular truck was. That was the only problem. We'll look at live data. It's hiding here somewhere. There it is. And here we go. We'll start looking to see if anything's weird. That's all green. And everything else is good too. Blue is the same as green. It means good. If it gets red, it's got a problem. They're all perfectly clean. We can feel a slight roll in the idle. And as you can see, the oxygen sensor on bank 1 and bank 2, they're slightly off. They're off by a tiny bit. It's not going to trip a code because it's got to be off 20% or more. And it's only off 0.21 of 1%, so that's not bad, but it shows that one side versus the other isn't exactly perfect. And from my experience with these, often the intake manifold will have a tiny leak on one side, not in the other, or one fuel injector's running a little bit off from the others. You could try putting a little fuel injector cleaner in it, but it runs perfectly fine. Most people aren't going to care about that. If it had been 5%, 10%, then you start thinking, but that's such a low percent, it really doesn't matter. Now, as we close the door, got a nice solid sound, but got manual door locks. And for those of you who are young and don't understand, it has hand crank windows. Look at that. It's nice and high up in the air. Got that powerful V6 engine in it. It's still a very reliable truck. So we'll try the old engine out. It's got plenty of horsepower in it. No problem with that. As you can see, it still shifts really smooth. It still runs great. And yeah, it did have frame problems. So if you're looking at one of these used, look at the frame. Get under there. Check the frame out. Get a hammer. If it goes conk, conk, great. If it goes crunch, crunch, don't buy it. You don't want to mess with one with a rotten frame. But from my experience of these things, it's mainly up north where they rot. Because I never saw one in Texas or New Mexico or California that had a rotten frame on it. It's the salt on the road that they use in the winter here. And anything that's a little bit weak, it accentuates the rust and makes them rot out faster. So if you're disgusted by the high price of used Toyota pickup trucks, maybe try to get a Nissan Frontier used pickup truck. They can still be pretty good trucks and you can get them a whole bunch cheaper. Something's going to last a long time. Honda's generally last a long time. He's not pulling a lot of weight. He didn't care about a gigantic bed. Now, as you can see, it's got a regular tailgate bush. There's a little handle and voila! The best of both worlds. And since it's a Honda, it's probably not going to break. Now, under here, as you can see, nice space. There is a drain under here. So you can use this as a giant ice bucket if you want. Or leave the drain shut. You can put your luggage and suitcase in it. And check this out. What's hiding in here? You got yourself 115-volt receptacle. One guy uses a TV here. Has tailgate parties. And watch this. Our speakers hiding in here. Check it out. Well, what do they think of next? Now, when you look at it, you think, oh, that's all plastic, but I don't know, the sound goes through it. It sounds really good. So, typical Japanese fashion, Honda keeps improving these things. Now, they're not like Ford, Ram, everybody else. Oh, every few years we got to refresh it, we got to change it. No. they really don't do that. But see, Honda's not competing with Ram, Chevy in the pickup wars. They know it. They generally sell around 40,000 of these every year, like clockwork, right? Because people buy them, they want a particular truck like this, they're totally happy with it. He wants a nice ride. He doesn't want a full frame that doesn't ride as nice. And he didn't want a chance at Maverick. I don't blame him. He made a wise decision. The Maverick, all the problems those things are having, got a very reliable V6 Honda engine, the 3.5 liter. It does have that stupid stop-start feature. So he watches my videos. Every time he starts it, he pushes turn off the start-stop. So it doesn't. He drives this thing for Uber. He doesn't want the annoyance, and he knows that's going to wear your engine out faster. It's just a gimmick people are throwing in. At least Honda's got the button. You push it every time, and voila, that's his habit. Get in, start truck, push button, and then he didn't have to think about it anymore. If you own one, I advise doing that. The only downside, as you can see here with the plastic covers, is it does have a rubber timing belt. So you're supposed to change every 100,000 miles. He usually keeps his vehicles 100,000 miles, and you want the absolute truth about it. I worked on the original Hondas that had the two-cylinder motorcycle engine, right? I've seen these things with 200,000 miles on them. The timing belt was never touched, and they still ran perfectly fine. That's a gamble you'd have to take because they are interference engines. But Honda makes them pretty well, and you know how many of these timing belts that I've seen broke? Okay, technically, I saw one, and it was the original Acura V6, right? And it had 370,000 miles with the original belt. And I told the customer, okay, here's what it's going to cost. He says, oh, that thing's old. I don't care. And then eventually it broke, and then he just sent it to a junkyard. It's considering that he bought it new when he put 375,000 miles. I'd say he got his money out of the car. And it's got a memory seat, all kinds of buttons for your phone. We'll turn that off so we don't have to listen to it. Simple cruise control. It's intelligent cruise control. Economy, if you want to get a little bit better gas mileage. You can have parking sense on or off. Lane change. You can turn that stuff off. Traction control. Heated seats. Both sides. One of the things I like is, look, your whole control system here. Look, it was designed, it fits right in. I like something like this. I don't like things sticking up. That's just me. I want a clear view. These are specialty trucks. It does have a sunroof. Now I'm trying out a new scan tool. This is like a $370 scan tool. It's called RT Diag Pro, top down. We'll see how it works. Now I'm doing this because a lot of people say, Scotty, you're always using that fancy $5,000 scan tool. We're never gonna blah, blah, blah. Well, this one's only $375. We'll see what it can do. Now we're gonna have to wait a second because I just updated the firmware. You can see it's updating it. And the company claims you get 2 years of free firmware updating, so we'll see how that works over time. That's like one of those slot machines. The numbers are coming up. There it is. Knows it's a 2023 Honda. And the transmission, all these different systems so far. Looks like it's doing quite a bit for a $370 scan tool. Code for the BCM. Lost communication with power window master switch. Power C control lost communication with power master switch. Maybe got wet or something. One is the AC system. Lost communication with the power window master switch. What the AC system has to do with the master switch is beyond me. Now we can see they're all gone, so let's look at some live data. We'll start her up. We'll look at live data. See, we get a lot of data. It's got 303 points, so we'll select them all and start looking at them. First thing I noticed, it's different than my other scan tools in that normal is blue. Usually it's black. This is blue, so let's start going through stuff. Fuel ratio is almost perfect, 0.99. Every once in a while it goes to 1. There it is, 1.00, which is perfect. And look at all this data it has for the air-fuel system. This is just all air-fuel system data. Battery's normal charging voltage. Even shows you the battery sensor current, which presently is 18.38 amps. Temperatures, perfect. You can see cylinder misfire, 0 all the way down. Shows you with the inverter that this thing has. See, this particular scanner does an awful lot of information. Now, you'll see it's a little slower than my fancy one. See, you got to wait for it to fill in. My other one's instantaneous. This, when you scroll up, if you get through a certain amount, you got to wait for them to come. But then they come up. And all the data looks good. And if you're curious what it all looks like, here we go. Watch. Remember, there's 320 of these babies. As long as we're here checking it out. Look at all the services it can do. Air, fuel reset, brake reset, oil reset, SAS reset, battery reset when you change your battery if you got a car that needs it. Bleeding the ABS system. Resetting your tire pressure monitoring system, electronic throttle relearn, and more and more and more. Gear learn, intelligent cruise control system, all the way down to Windows calibration or tire reset if you change the size of your tire. So I gotta say, for 370 bucks or so, this looks like a pretty good scan tool so far. Stay tuned, we'll see how it goes over the years. Well, I was talking to the owner, I figured out what happened. Well, I had this call for the switch. He drives Uber and there was a wreck on the highway outside of Nashville, and he got out of the car, forgetting that he had left in drive. And when he opened up the door, the engine turned itself off. And he thought, what did I do? I ruined my new truck, right? Well, it's a safety thing. So you can't have it in gear and it'll be driving away when you got the door open. I've reset it. Odds are it's not going to come back unless I'm dumb enough to leave it driving and jump out the door. It saves both you and it saves your truck from driving away and hitting somebody else. So now we got it in reverse. You can see it's got a nice wide angle camera. I like that camera angle. I can see the lions. I can see the mailbox. I really have a good view. It's a really nice backup camera. I can't stand those little ones. This one is really good and I can see, okay, saying don't get too close to that mailbox, so I won't. First thing I see, it's smooth as can be. Like the owner said, he got in this thing, he drove and he said, man, this thing rides almost as good as my Camry, and he bought it. He didn't even bother looking at the Fords. Just because of the less on-sprung weight and other differences in flexibility, a unibody vehicle rides much smoother. That's one reason you see most vehicles being built that way. Aside from the fact that it's cheaper to build them that way, and they weigh less, so they get slightly better gas mileage. Let's get to our little drag strip here. Now, this isn't a screaming V8, it's a V6, and it is an all-wheel drive, so it's going to handle really good. Let's see how it takes off. And ready, steady, go. It just kicked in there. Now the owner watched a lot of my videos, spent a lot of time deciding what to get, and he said he's totally happy, other than that stupid stop-start thing that he doesn't like. He's totally happy with what it does. He uses it for Uber. He likes going out in the country. He's not pulling any heavy loads. He can pull his boat or whatever he wants with the thing. It'll tow 5,000 pounds. And for a pickup truck, it's surprisingly quiet. The only thing I hear are the tires, which are relatively aggressive tread on this thing. If you like less noise, yeah, you can go for smoother tires. Very smooth shifting. It's Honda's 9-speed automatic, not CVT, an actual automatic, and it's smooth. And it also doesn't hunt for gears like the Fords often do. So what do I think about this? Is it a real truck? Well, in some respects, it's better than a real truck. Yeah, it's not a heavy load pulling truck, but for what it is, it's about as close to perfection as you can get. As you saw in this thing, it does not hunt for gears. With the unibody construction, a nice engine, 9-speed tranny, this thing is smooth. If you're looking for a smooth pickup that you can occasionally do trucky things with, you certainly can tailgate with that fancy tailgate. You might think about getting one of these things. The Honda, you know they're gonna last quite some time, other than that stupid start-stop button you gotta keep pushing to turn it off. It's annoying as can be. You can drive it hard, still get mid-20s gas mileage in a truck that's as fast as this and fun to drive. The Ridgelines, they're not for everybody. But for the people who want a vehicle like this, pretty good choice. There aren't that many of them out there with all the features that this thing has. And sure, you're not going to be towing 15,000 pounds, you know? It's all-wheel drive, you're not going to get stuck anywhere, plenty high enough in the ground, and it's a Honda that will probably outlast you if you drive it conservatively enough. It's not a rock climber. You take it rock climbing, yeah, you'll probably flip the thing over, right? And you like a nice ride? Road test one first, you know? I mean, I've road tested the Mavericks. I like the way they ride, but seeing that they're made in Mexico, I was always kind of iffy, and now I'm really iffy because I see people who have them and they have problems. I have customers with these things. One guy runs a plumbing company, and he's got all his plumbing tools on a cap on the back. He owns 2 of these things. He's got like $220 on each one, and he's still driving them. So they can be a work truck too, and if you're thinking about getting one, I'd just say, go road test one first, see what you think. He road tested this and he bought it. He didn't even road test any other ones. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.